Our trip to Tasmania started from Geelong, where we boarded the Spirit of Tasmania. This is ship number 1. There are 2 other ships. So we started off in the morning, boarded around 8 o'clock. We are parking in deck number 6. We took the lift and then went to deck number 7, where we were going to spend the rest of the day. Found this space to relax. We had booked a recliner area for our parents, so they were comfortable. They had their lunch there, which we packed. There were lots of eateries inside the ship. Good experience with lots of people reading, eating, knitting, drinking. There was live music as well. After about 10 hours, we landed in Devonport and spent the night there in an Airbnb. We bought some wraps and had dinner over there. Next morning, we left towards Launceston. It was a nice drive. Tasmania is very much similar to New Zealand or even Melbourne. Launceston city was in sort of layers, I felt. It's very pretty. We drove towards Cataract Gorge. That was our destination in Launceston. Look at that Victorian looking building. This is the gorge. We walked for about an hour up and down, and it was beautiful weather. Then we drove towards East Coast, crossing Swansea and then driving towards Primrose Sands, where we had planned Airbnb. This was a beautiful place. For the 2 nights that we booked in, we had a good time. This place is about an hour and 20 minutes from Hobart. So our plan is to travel to Hobart tomorrow. Look at the ocean. Next morning, we drove to the city of Hobart, which is quite a popular and big place. Big bridges, and this is Franklin Wharf. Strode a little bit, sat a little bit, had lunch, spent some time in another place called Salamanca Place, and then we drove to Kettering and Woodbridge, and finally stopped at Middleton because it was almost 4 o'clock and parents were a bit tired. So we drove back to the Airbnb through the city of Hobart once again. The Victorian buildings, the clock tower. We really loved the place. Next morning was a bit windy. This is me trying to balance in the deck, even though it was very windy. Next morning, checking out and leaving the spot, drove towards Richmond There was a bridge built in 1870, so we went to just have a look at that. And our plan was to drive towards Devonport through the day, as we had booked in Devonport for the night. That's the bridge. Just had a coffee, walked a little bit, stretched a little bit. We made our way towards Coles Beach. That was the plan, as we had not been to many beaches. The wind was very high, and then that night we stayed at Devonport. So next morning, time to go back to Melbourne. That's us boarding the Spirit of Tasmania. This was the ship number 2, so we got to experience both the ships that were there. And we had booked into a cabin, so this time no recliner areas booked. And then we were back home.